Okay, I call this meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. Do we have quorum now?
So I just want to be clear. I know Jess put quorum is 10 during the summer. It's 12 during the academic year. And because we're in the academic year, we are back to 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I think we do.
Yep, you do. So we can move forward.
Okay, are there any amendments to the agenda? Armand?
Can I strike the ASC Communications Board appointment, please?
Yes, and then, Jenny?
Can I strike capital contingency? Thank you.
Okay, got it, and Tay?
Hi, can I strike the SFBC menstrual hygiene installation proposal and then add the SFBC basic needs special presentation?
Yeah, let me add that presentation really quick. And then, Angie?
Hi, can I strike ASRF allocations and AEC travel mini grant allocations, please?
Yeah, okay, got it. Emily?
Hi, could I strike the FSC director pay proposal?
Okay, got it. Are there any more amendments to the agenda?
I'm just wondering, since I wasn't here last week, I noticed that there aren't that many surplus items on this agenda. Are we still doing those discussions this week?
From what I heard from Breeze, we'll be doing that next week as well.
Oh, okay then. Then I'd like to strike the other FSC proposal then. Thanks.
Okay. Got it. Any more amendments?
Cassie, this is Josh. I stand corrected. Jessica was 100% correct. So my apologies. I just want to publicly say that 10 is quorum during the academic year. My apologies.
Okay, can people hear him? Am I good? Okay, I came in from my phone. It's kind of annoying to hear myself, but okay. Where are we, Cass?
We just did all the amendments, so we just need approval of the agenda.
Okay, awesome. Approval for this week or last week?
Of this meeting.
Okay.
Agenda.
Can I get an approval for the minutes?
I move to approve the agenda from October 26th.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Motion. Sorry, this is really annoying. Haley second. All in favor, please raise your hands. Pause a moment.
Sorry, say that again. Should I say?
Oh,
okay. Oh, sorry.
Raise your hands. Sorry.
Yes,
Awesome. Oh, everyone's here. Okay, by a vote of 14 to 0 to 0, the motion passes and the agenda for this week is approved. Awesome. We're moving straight into last week's agenda. Can I get an approval for the minutes of October 12th? I have to hear myself. I can't but it's not good because I'm those are the same ones that Sorry, can I get an approval?
Is it for October 19th?
Yes.
Okay, am I allowed to give an approval if I was not present at the meeting? Give a motion?
I don't think so.
Yeah, anyone can motion. You just can't vote.
Oh, okay, sounds good. I move to approve October 19th USAC agenda minutes.
Can I get a second?
I second.
And Tay,
Taylani motions, Emily seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands.
you can vote. My apologies. You just shouldn't vote in the favor. You should abstain.
Wait, sorry, John?
Tay was saying, can she vote? And I said, no, she cannot vote. But what I meant to say is she can't vote in favor. She should abstain if she was not present for the minutes.
Okay. So 11, abstaining, please. And Jane, okay. By a vote of 11 to 0 to 3, the motion passes and the agenda for last week is approved. Awesome. We're moving straight into public comment. Public comment is a time for any member of the public to speak to USAC and speak to the council on any issue that they wish to address. Every member of the public has 2 minutes to speak and they are allowed to speak once. Remember to use gender inclusive language, use respectful language. Freedom of speech does not mean freedom from accountability. And if you can go ahead and raise your hands at this time and we will promote you, and please keep your hand raised so that I may call on you when you are promoted. Thank you so much. Okay, I don't think that anyone is here. Going once, going twice. If not, I motion to adjourn public comment at 7:09 p.m. Great. Moving straight into funding. Contingency programming. Jenny?
Yes, hi guys. So this week, here is the letter to council spreadsheet. We have 19 USAC entities for a total of $11,492.56. Let me know if you have any questions. A lot of it is like fairs, retreats, and socials. Those are back in full swing.
Okay, awesome. Can someone motion?
Yeah, I move to approve 19 non-USAC entities for a total of $11,492.56.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Maya motion, Erman seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Prom, Natalia. Natalia. Okay, perfect. By a vote of 14 to 0 to 0, the motion passes and contingency programming for this fund for this week is approved. Great. Moving into SFS allocations. Momina?
Yes, so this week we have a total of 6 non-CSC groups and 1 CSC group funded for a total of $6,299.79 allocated. I'll also put that in the chat.
Okay, great. Does anyone have any questions for Momina? If not, thank you so much, Momina. SWC Programming Fund, Taylani?
Yes, so we allocated $200 to one. We allocated $282 to two non-SWC committees, and I can also link those in the chat too.
Does anyone have any questions for Taylani? If not, thank you so much. Great. Sarah, Bruin Advocacy Grant.
Cool. Yeah. So today's the first time that I have allocations for bags. So admin, if you have like a way that I'm officially supposed to do that, please let me know. But I'll just let you know how much we allocated. So our first funding went to Grupo Folklorico de UCLA, $2,000 for facilities. They rented out Wilson Plaza for an event for Dia de los Muertos. And then the second one was to the Pacific Islands Student Association, $747.34 for food for one of their events.
So Sarah, then what you would do is say that you're allocating a request for a total, and then give us that total amount for how many of them are non-CSC. I'm sorry, BA Bruin Advocacy, and then we would see if there's any opposition.
Sorry, me doing math right now.
Sorry.
Okay. So what's the line, Josh? Sorry.
Just allocating. You'd allocate the allocation of a total of the total amount.
Okay.
And then how many to one? Are they both non Bruin Advocacy?
They're both within Bruin. They're both getting funds from the Bruin Advocacy grant, but they're non-USAC entities.
Non-USAC entity. That's what you need to say. Yep. So to two non-USAC entities.
$2,747.34 to two non-USAC entities.
Perfect.
And then do I pass it to Breeze for motion?
Yeah.
Yep. And this is an opposition vote. So if there's no opposition, it passes.
Yes. Is anyone against or anyone has any questions? If not, thank you so much, Sarah, and congratulations. Yay. Oh, pass it. Sorry.
Not against, my hand slipped. Sorry.
No worries.
Vote for. I meant to vote for.
Oh, okay. This one doesn't require a vote, but thank you. Okay, great. And Palm for ARC.
Hey y'all. So we do have ARC allocations this week, and I'm trying to find the file, but I'm having some trouble with my internet. So my Google Drive isn't really loading. So I'm just gonna strike it for this week.
No worries, Prom. Thank you so much. Jane?
Yes. So for TGIF, we have $29,591.71 to 5 main fund groups, none of which were USAC entities.
Okay, does anyone have a question? If not, then thank you so much, Jane. Great. Okay, we're done with funding. Moving straight into special presentations. Can we promote both Simone and Callie Spade?
Yeah, I'm promoting them right now.
Awesome. So Simone, whenever you're ready. Simone is here today on behalf of ASU. As y'all know, she's a great advocate on campus, and she's kind of just here again for a seat at the table to discuss with us her organization and what they have been up to this year and what the plans for ASU are this upcoming year. So we want to remind folks to, if you can, please turn on your cameras and give a warm welcome to Simone. So Simone, you have the floor. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much for having me. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and get started with an intro presentation to tell you guys what ASU is all about. All right. The African Student Union, we were founded in 1966, the spring of 1966, standing at 56 years strong this year. The African Student Union serves as a political, social, and cultural organization on UCLA's campus. The African Student Union exists in order to promote, protect, and serve the interests and educational political rights of individuals and collective needs of the African student body and the African community within the context of the struggle of the African liberation movement. The African Student Union is committed to the achievement of African unity and African consciousness, the promotion of African culture, and the elimination of all forms of human oppression and exploitation. These are just some notable and very famous Black Bruins. Got a ton of them, but these are just a few of them. Sure you recognize a few faces. Some key things that happened in the 60s. We weren't always the African Student Union when we were founded. We were known as the Harambe Club. In 1969, two Black Panther Party members, John Huggins and Butchie Carter, former students here at UCLA, members of the African Student Union. Unfortunately, they were murdered in front of Campbell Hall. And this was a really traumatic event for the Black community at UCLA, Black community all over the world. And that was something that really rallied the union politically at that time to advocate for justice and proper commemoration and justice for these brothers. In the 1970s, we were known as the Black Student Alliance. Some key things back then, we created the High Potential Program. If you're familiar with AAP, the Academic Advancement Program, before it transitioned, it was the High Potential Program. Together, you know, we created programs that still exist today, such as FSP and TSP. The African Education Project was founded. That is the African Student Union's community service project. We have 3 projects, but this was our first one. The African Education Project stands today at 41 years, committed to teaching and educating youth about African history, culture, and really just challenging and destigmatizing stereotypes. In the 1980s, we were the Black Student Union. Some key things that we were involved in politically, the Anti-Apartheid movement in South Africa. If anybody's familiar with that, that was a big legislation movement in South Africa that legally allowed them to, you know, white colonists to segregate and discriminate against South African people. And this lasted for over a decade. The UC regents, they were investing in companies such as Coca-Cola, who were funding apartheid. And our union was successful in getting the UC regents to divest from these companies, ultimately leading to the ending of apartheid. We also, in 1988, we created our retention project, the Academic Supports Program. That was the first retention project on this campus and one of the first student-initiated and student-run resources and retention projects. Shortly after that, we created the CRC, the Campus Retention Committee, with the help of the Mother Org Coalition and USAC. In the 90s, we were the African Student Union. Some key things that happened back then, the days of defiance protests in response to Prop 209, Prop 209 that prohibited the university from admitting students based on race and ethnicity. And unfortunately, that led to a drastic decline in Black student enrollment on this campus. We went from admitting a few hundred students at a time to admitting only 96 students in 1996. That's why that's known as the infamous class of 96. In response to Prop 209, we created our third project. SHAPE stands for Students Heightening Academic Performance Through Education. That is our access project. It was the second access project created next to AIR, American Indian Recruitment. That is ACE's access project. And the SIOC was created shortly after that. And SHAPE stands for Students Heightening Academic Performance Through Education, and it is standing this year at 26 years. And that serves to promote access to higher institutions of learning for Black students and other students of color. As we transition into the 2000s, some other things ASU was involved in, holistic admissions, meaning, beyond test scores and beyond a GPA, beyond an SAT score, ACT score, considering things like community service, your leadership experience, your work experience. Y'all know how it is. You applied on that UC application. So holistic admissions, that was a really big win, and it played a role into increasing the admittance of Black students here at the university. The departmentalization of AFAM, African American Studies, it wasn't departmentalized until 2014. Class of 2015 was the first class to graduate with an AFAM degree, I believe. That was pretty huge. We had some other involvements in getting the UC Regents to divest from private prisons, some other things. Today, we are the African Student Union, not with the C, but with the K. Why are we the African Student Union with a K? And why is the continent in our logo flipped upside down? We spell African with a K to encompass everyone across the African diaspora. We don't serve just to fight justice and protect Black students on this campus and to advocate for them, but we serve as an advocate and that protector for Black people all over the country. ASU has had, as you can clearly see, major involvement nationwide and in a global impact. So that's to make sure we encompass everybody. And even here on this campus, we have, different communities within the Black student population here at UCLA. We have Afro-Latinx students, we have Nigerian students, we have East African students, we have Haitian students, and so on and so forth. The continent is flipped upside down to reject the colonized way of viewing the map. This is just to look at Africa in its whole essence and just reject that stereotype. The organization of the union, ASU does have a governing body that is known as the Harambe Council, where we have 27 orgs. I need to update that. We just added one. We have 27 organizations in our Harambe Council. To name a few, we have our projects, SHAPE and ASP. We also have other organizations such as the African Women's Collective, the National Pan-Hellenic Council, the Black Pre-Health Organization, the Nigerian Student Association, and so on and so forth. And all of these organizations, they have representatives that sit on the Harambe Council that govern and play a role in leadership within the body of the union. Some key things that ASU does every year, big events. We have our higher education conference in the spring. That's when we bring 7th through 12th graders to the university from all over LAUSD. And we do workshops for them and tours around the university and really promote access of higher education and learning. Then we have the John Huggins and Bunchy Carter annual commemoration in January. We also have our yield events, Admit Weekend in the spring, and the Black Bruin Transfer Extravaganza. That's when we bring incoming freshmen for Admit Weekend and transfers for the Transfer Extravaganza, and they get to spend the night at UCLA. They get to see what the campus is like. We do some workshops and have some events for them and have a great time. Then we have Afro Grad, also known as All African People's Graduation. That is our graduation for all Black students, undergraduate and graduate at the university. Every year we enjoy and rejoice in another generation, more years of success in academia, and share some cultural traditions. It's a great time. Some other things we do quarterly, bi-weekly, we have general body meetings. Our GBMs are even weeks on Wednesdays, 6 to 8 p.m. Black Wednesdays are another tradition in the Black Bruin community. Harambe Council orgs, they take turns, and there's different themes of Black Wednesdays. You'll see them in the Black Resource Center now, maybe on Bruin Walk some days, having music. Orgs will be flyering, perhaps some games and activities depending on who's hosting. So that's a tradition we always look forward to. Fried Chicken Fridays. We've done that once a month on the Hill in the Black Community Center. That's a tradition that we started a few years ago. So those are just some annual things that ASU does. If you are looking at ways to like participate and be involved. And yeah, this is just about the Harambe Council. Our projects have mentorship and internship components. They take students on field trips to different college campuses and really promote higher access to learning. Our community service project, AEP, they do sites every Saturday in Compton. So there's all types of ways for you guys to be involved. Let me stop sharing my screen. And right now, we just opened the Black Resource Center, and there are some things going on there. We are still fighting for our projects, ultimately to be rehoused in there due to what's been going on for the past decade in the CPO. Our projects have been explicitly targeted. Unfortunately, several Black women have left and filed lawsuits. A lot of people have been discriminated against in CPO. Our projects have been retaliated against, and it's just become a toxic environment that's not conducive to support at least Black students, I will say. And so ultimately, we're looking to get them relocated from the CPO. Their services have been delayed. It's week 5, and our retention project barely just started counseling. Our access project still hasn't started site. We've barely just hired our staff this week. So I would definitely look for some support from council, just in terms of holding CPO and the Office of Student Affairs accountable, because the Vice Chancellor Gordon and Chancellor Block promised that there would be no service disruptions, and not just ASU's projects, but all Mother Org's projects are currently going without service disruptions. I mean, some of them still have not even hired staffs for their projects, and this is becoming a problem. It's proving very clear that CPO is not an effective administrative support, and it's not conducive to support student-initiated and student-run resources. So I'm looking for ways that council could support. I look forward to working with you guys in ways that you could support ASU and hopefully the coalition as a whole. I don't see any of my coalition counterparts here today, so I don't want to speak on behalf of them, and I'll leave it at that. But I do appreciate you guys, and thank you for having me here today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Simone. Does anyone have any questions? Or any ways that people would be willing to support? Passive?
Sorry. Yeah, no, I wanted to say that I really enjoyed the presentation. It was really educating, and I hope that, I hope that we as council can support you guys as best we can. And the second thing is, I was just wondering, like, Is there any contact info for the organization, an email or something like that? I don't know if that's been dropped in the chat. Sorry, I'm on iPad right now, so I can't really see very well or view things very well.
Simone, I don't know if you wanted to drop that in the chat. Perfect. Okay, Tay.
Thank you, Breeze. Hi, Simone. I wanted to ask, like, is there any like tangible like projects that we could work on with you guys at the moment? Any support that we can provide or that I can provide? Is it just like MO projects that we're focusing on? And I know you mentioned like rehousing the orgs under like, that's not under CPO, but are there any, is there any like tangible action steps that we can do to support you?
Maybe just helping in the recruitment process. We're getting a late start into the year, as I mentioned. So for our access project, we just hired staff. So when we do start site, we will need volunteers. We're trying to have a volunteer informational this week. So if you guys could, you know, promote that and share that, we'd appreciate that. Other ways that you could support. I would say just be present. Come to the MO meetings, come to the CRC meetings and SIOC meetings, even if you're not a commissioner with it that has an appointment. The meetings are open to the public. I think we have to all start stepping up and doing our part. I think CPO has been getting away with what they've been doing because we've been letting them. And I think as a rightful signatory on that statement of understanding, council has a right to act and be involved and uphold that statement of understanding. So I just encourage you guys to be more present, as I've encouraged mother orgs to show up and return and be more present at council meetings. I think we all need to get in the habit of collectively supporting one another, because that's the only way that there's going to be any progress.
So Simone, I guess I agree with that 100%. I do know that last year when I had tried to attend one of the meetings for my appointments at the start of my term as AAC, I was told I couldn't attend those meetings, or I was asked why I was in attendance at those meetings. So I just want to know, like, maybe council members may have tried, like commissioners that have appointments and may have not been successful in that, because I know that was my experience, at least. I mean, I still went and I was like, well, I have authority to be here, but they did make me feel like I wasn't supposed to be there. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
I think we just have to insert ourselves into the space. They tried to tell me a couple of weeks ago I couldn't either. And I told them I'm the chairperson for one of the sponsoring organizations in here, for one of the projects in here. What do you mean I can't be in here? It's public. And Nicole said it was in the SOU that I couldn't be there. And I asked her to point it out. She couldn't. And I pulled up the SOU on my computer and read through it. And there was no proof. So I think once again, we just have to stop letting them tell us things, because they're going to tell us what they want to tell us. Of course, they don't want us in the room because they don't want to be held accountable, for lack of a better phrase. So I would just say, show up. I mean, how could she tell you guys that you can't be there when those committees are managing student fees? Y'all have every right to be present in the room. And I'll be there every week, you know, so I welcome it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Simone. Great. And does anyone else have anything else to say or anything else to ask? If not, thank you, Simone, for coming out, and we look forward to partnering with you this upcoming year. Awesome. Okay, great. Passing it off to Callie. Callie, you have the floor.
Awesome. All right. Can you guys see my screen okay? All right, so my name is Callie Spade. I am the manager of recruitment and alumni engagement for Coro Southern California. We are a nonprofit based in Southern California. We run a number of different fellowships, but I'm here specifically to talk to you guys about the fellowship program in public affairs. If any of you guys knew Jonathan Wisner from last year, I believe he was the USAC president. He is a current fellow with us now. So we actually have a former member in our current cohort. I should also start out with this presentation is usually 15 minutes. I have shortened it, but I'm going to be going very quickly, and there's going to be time at the end for questions. So I apologize in advance if it feels like we're rushing through this. I should say, if you hear this presentation and it doesn't really speak to you and it's not for you, you are still going to leave with this Coro tool, which I am presenting right now. It is called POP. And it stands for Purpose, Outcomes, and Process. And we use it all the time internally, and it's a great way to communicate intention for a meeting and provide structure. So with POP, we say the purpose of what I'm doing right now is to educate you all about the program, the fellows program history, content, long-term benefits. The outcome, I hope, is that you know a little bit more about the program and you know how to apply. And then the process is the presentation and the Q&A. So you're probably wondering, what is the fellows program in public affairs? It's not graduate school and it's not a job. It was developed in the 1940s in response to the rise of fascism. Our founders were very concerned that democracy was not going to survive without thoughtful, ethical leaders who could move society forward at a rate that was sustainable. And so they developed this leadership program to foster that type of leadership. It is a full-time 9-month experiential leadership development program. Every cohort each year has 12 fellows in every center. Those fellows learn how to work collaboratively. They learn how to see critical issues from new perspectives. They learn how to be really self-aware, compassionate leaders. And ultimately, we want them to be prepared for effective leadership in all areas of civic life. So there are 5 centers. I am here on behalf of Los Angeles, but I can speak to St. Louis, San Francisco, New York, and Pittsburgh as well. We are separate nonprofits technically, but we collaborate very closely. It's the same application for all of the centers, and all the centers have a fellows program with 12 cohort members. So there are 60 fellows graduating every year. The Coro leadership training that I mentioned earlier that was developed in the 1940s, it is unique. Obviously, a lot has changed as our ideas of leadership have changed, but it was quite forward thinking for the time. It was inspired by the theories of John Dewey, who was a political theorist and suffragette at the 19th and early 20th century. He was also very influential in the American Civil Rights Movement. The late John Lewis cited him as inspiration. So that's kind of where we're coming from as an organization. Our methodology focuses on experiential learning. So there isn't really any time where fellows are in anything that looks like a lecture. You learn a tool, you put it into practice, and then you reflect on that practice. We also believe very strongly in cohort-based learning. So we work in groups so that we're not isolated in our own experiences and our own interpretations, and then we can learn cues from those around us. There's also a focus on getting comfortable with discomfort. So we will encourage fellows to step out of their comfort zone, because we believe that leaders are often asked to make decisions that there's not a clear right or wrong answer, or you might not know the long-term impact yet. And so we want fellows to lean into challenging situations and not kind of lean out. And finally, there is a real focus on understanding and valuing different communication styles. There's often a idea that there's one type of leadership style, and that is the only type of leadership style that's effective. That's not true. There's many ways to be an effective effectively communicate as a leader. We kind of train fellows to understand what they tend to gravitate towards, and also respect the styles of others and see the benefits. So the program has a unique structure over the 9 months. I'm going to talk about the 4 main elements, which are field placements, focus weeks, seminars, and spring projects. I'm going to talk about the field placements first. They are 4 to 6 week high-level placements at different organizations within a sector in the government, business, labor, and electoral politics. So you'll be at one organization for 4 to 6 weeks in that specific sector. And then all the fellows will be at the same sector, but in different organizations. So essentially all the fellows will be going to government placements at the same time, but they'll be in different government agencies. And you know, they'll be in different, if the nonprofit placement is next, they'll be at different nonprofits, but they're all at nonprofit placements. I think there is when applicants hear this, there is an understandable fear that these are going to be a bunch of internships. They're not. They are high level. You're often shadowing leadership. They're project based, and it's unparalleled access to decision making. Oftentimes, if you speak to alumni, they'll talk about how the program is a job lab. So a lot of folks leave school and they love and are interested in a lot of things. They don't really know where to focus. The field placements give fellows an opportunity to get a lot of high level experience in a lot of different sectors so that they are able to kind of have a better idea of where they want to go next. Often candidates will come into the program with one idea of what they think their future is going to be, love a placement, and completely change their trajectory. So placements are also supplemented by the weekly seminars, and that's where you get that Coro training that I mentioned earlier. They're twice a week. So right now there are Coro fellows in seminar on Tuesday nights, and then they're in seminar for full day on Fridays. This is where the program director leads the cohort in the facilitated learning experience. It's also where the cohort really bonds. They're able to process their placement experiences. They learn from each other's placement experiences. They learn to work as a group, try on different leadership styles, and address conflict. In between the placements, you have something called focus weeks. I have to be a little bit cagey about focus weeks because there are surprises, but the best way that I can describe them is it's kind of like a case study on steroids. You do a deep dive into a specific issue that's affecting the region. You interview leaders, activists, elected officials who are making decisions in real time on that issue. And then you have to synthesize all the data and information. The fellows experience ends with spring project. It's a final independent project in the spring. Fellows choose these projects in cooperation with an agency or an organization. Sometimes the project can be something that a fellow really enjoyed during one of their placements and they want to explore it further. Other times it's something that the fellow really hasn't had a chance to do yet, but they see it as something they have to do to have a more fulfilling experience. Regardless, it should be the culmination of everything that a fellow has learned up until then. So I'm going to touch on finances. Sometimes if you talk to alumni from a few years ago, they will mention tuition. We no longer have tuition, which makes the program much more accessible to a wider range of people. We also have need-based stipends for those who apply. The amount of need or the amount of stipend can vary because we are need blind in our admissions. So if the entire cohort requires aid, that can obviously affect the individual stipend amounts. In addition, we provide a stipend for everyone for insurance. And then in addition, some fellows are able to kind of make this an easier financial burden by deferring their student loan payments because the fellows program counts as an enrichment program, and some lenders allow candidates to defer their loans. You know, that said, Los Angeles is an expensive city, but to put this into context, many people view this program as an alternative to a master's program or a stepping stone to a graduate degree, maybe going to law school. So this is a good way to think about this is it's an investment in your future that is really going to pay off for many, many years. So fellows leave the program with high-level experience, these incredible leadership skills. They also join this truly amazing Choral alumni community. There are 10,000 Choral alums across the country. In California, there's an especially large alumni community because the two oldest centers are San Francisco and San Francisco and LA. So kind of in California, no matter what sector you're in, you're going to find Choral alumni in leadership. One clear example, there are 4 current sitting US senators who are Choral alumni. 2 of them are both California senators. So Senator Dianne Feinstein and Alex Padilla are both Choral alumni. In addition, Rusty Hicks, the chair of the California Democratic Party, is a Choral alum. He's also the chair of our board. Holly Mitchell, who's on the County Board of Supervisors. There's many, many elected officials, but also CEOs, ambassadors, judges. So it's really a very large and impressive and supportive community. It's very common for the program participants to be hired by Choral alumni or hired by one of their placements. We call that 100% Choral placement. Oh, and then finally, we have standing relationships with higher education institutions across the country. So for instance, Carnegie Mellon has a standing scholarship for Choral grads for their School of Public Policy. And then other programs, specifically usually for Masters in Public Policy, will count the Choral Fellowship as a credit towards a master's degree. So if you hear this and you're excited about the opportunity to kind of engage in civic issues, to get a lot of experience, to work in a cohort, the application is we're currently accepting applications. They are due January 11th. It's a pretty straightforward application, current CV, 2 recommendation forms, 2 essay questions, a 60-second video testimonial, and unofficial university transcript. My recommendation would be to get those recommendation forms out early because the application is due right after the holidays. And we've had applicants in the past, with their recommenders forgot about their letters, and it was a scramble at the last minute. So I always encourage folks to get that organized as early as possible. One other thing I always sharing with fellows this year is just to make sure that your video testimonial, the audio works, the video works. You don't want to have to film it late at night before the application is due. So to avoid that panic, I always encourage folks to just go through the video one more time. So that's kind of the basic elements for our application. Here's my contact information. My role at Coro is to help guide applicants through the application process. So please, I am here as a resource. If you have any questions, you can email me directly. I'll also put my email in the chat. I truly am always happy to help. With that, I am going to transition to Q&A if you guys have any questions.
Thank you so much, Callie. Does anyone have any questions? Going once. Going twice. If not, oh, Callie, if you have the floor as well.
I'm just going to put my email in there. Just one thing for folks to know, the only requirement for the fellowship is that you have a bachelor's degree. It is a highly selective fellowship, but we don't require a GPA minimum or anything like that. We're looking for people who are ambitious, empathetic, and self-aware. So, basically what I'm saying is don't think there's a quality about you that is going to disqualify you from participating in this program. Another thing to note, I didn't mention in the presentation, is there's a second stage to the application process. So after you submit your application, we choose 36 candidates to participate in something called Selection Day. That is in March. It is, I can't really talk about it very much. It's an intense day, I will say, but it is meant to gauge how applicants respond under pressure and those qualities that you can't really gauge from an application. After Selection Day, which will be entirely virtual, we will ask 12 of those participants to join us in the fellowship. And then we have a small wait list as well. And so our cohort is usually finalized by May, and then the program starts in September. So that's what the trajectory usually looks like.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Callie.
Awesome.
Appreciate you coming out so much. I know we did like the Coro program type beat in council last year. And that's, I feel like, one of the biggest reasons why last year's council was so tight knit.
Nice.
So yeah, that was really fun. And I
That's
think
awesome.
Jonathan's in your class as well. So
He is.
love
He's
Jonathan.
participating in seminar right now as we speak, and he has a placement in it's the business sector right now for their sector placements. Yeah, he's great.
Love that. That's awesome. Okay, thank you so much, Callie. We appreciate you coming out tonight.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Thank you for coming. Great. Okay. Moving on. So that closes special presentations for tonight. We will be moving straight. SWC.
Yeah, sorry, y'all.
No, sorry. I'm excited.
Okay, yes. I promise this presentation is pretty short. I'm just trying to share my screen. I have so many tabs open. Give me 1 second. Awesome. Can everyone see this? Oh, wait, I can't even see anyone's face. So I'm assuming that everyone can see. Yeah, okay, cool. So I just want to start off by saying that, like, as council members, y'all can also apply to the subsidy, since we all have basic needs and we all, I'm assuming, need assistance when it comes to basic needs. So please don't hesitate when it comes to applying. But okay, I'm going to give a short presentation on the basic needs subsidy, what it is, what we provide, what we fund, and like application deadlines and all of that stuff. Okay, so basically, the UCLA Student Wellness Commission has established a fund to aid students with fulfilling basic needs, especially amidst like the financial hardships and strain, caused by COVID-19. But in general, like going to UCLA is like always financially stressful. So that's what the basic needs subsidy is created for. And this fund is called the Basic Needs Subsidy. And also I just put like our office location in case you have any questions throughout the week with applying. We're located in Kirkhoff 308. So basically all UCLA undergraduate students are eligible to apply to this fund for a maximum of $100 of assistance towards purchasing basic needs. And you can only apply once during the fall quarter, but you can apply during winter quarter once and spring quarter once. So you're allowed to apply quarterly. Oopsies. So this fund can be used for soap, paper towels, shampoo and conditioner, toilet paper, dental hygiene, so, toothbrush, toothpaste, mouthwash, floss, all of that stuff, cleaning supplies, every cleaning supply that you could think of, that's covered. And of course, menstrual products, that's all covered under the fund. You cannot use this fund for food, rent, prescription medications, vitamins, medical bills, electronics, textbooks, school supplies, or any excessive quantities of items without explanation. There are other funding, like y'all know, as other council members, that there are other funding opportunities that some of you all spearhead that can provide support for students through that. And I wish we can fund rent and medication, but unfortunately we cannot. So important updates: the application for the basic needs subsidy opened Monday, October 18th, but it closes October 22nd, so this Friday. The application is very straightforward. I would argue that you can finish it within 15 minutes, and we'll actually get into the application itself right now. So basically the application, like I said, is straightforward. It's reimbursement based. So we have you buy the products and then we reimburse you for your purchase. all you have to do is send us a PDF of the items you're requesting and then their respective prices. So you can basically just add your items to a cart and take a screenshot and then like attach that to your application. And conventionally, like our students purchase their items through Amazon, Walmart, Target, but feel free to purchase anywhere. So the allocation process. So as like most of y'all know too, our commission received less funding this year. So we're not able to allocate as many funds as we have in the past. But we are committed to allocating funding to each applicant as long as they like follow the instructions, but it may be less than what we have been able to give in the past. Obviously that's not ideal, but that's like the goal. If we do get a lot of applicants, we do want to make sure that we're allocating funding to everyone as much as possible. And with that being said, the grant is available on a first come, first served basis, with students with urgent needs being prioritized. And yes. So that basically almost wraps up the presentation. If you need help with your application, feel free to email us at swcsubsidy@gmail.com. You can also come to our office hours this Friday from 10 to 11 a.m. My assistant chief of finance will be in there to answer all your questions, all your last minute burning questions about the application. You can also DM us on Instagram, or you can schedule a 15-minute meeting with me and like I can help do the application with you. But yeah, and those are all the resources that we have for fulfilling the application. We want to make sure that students feel supported when doing the application. So that is pretty much it. Thank y'all so much. Hopefully it wasn't too long. Also, does anyone have questions? Sorry. Like I said, you all are able to apply too. So if you do have questions, feel free to ask me or like private DM me.
Okay, awesome. Does anyone have any questions for Tay? If not, wait, what is going on again? The Zoom. Thank you so much, Tay, for presenting to us. Great. Moving straight into appointments. Okay, yeah, the deadline is this Friday, the 29th. I don't know if you want to make that announcement, Tay.
Yes, just so it's in the minutes, the application deadline is this Friday, October 29th at midnight.
Awesome. Okay, great. Moving straight into appointments. So first up, we have for Academic Senate Faculty Welfare, Stella. Will you go ahead and promote her, Ms. Cass?
I think Stella is promoted, so Angie can do an intro, I think.
Hi, everyone. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce Stella as my appointment to the Faculty Welfare Committee. Stella is a first-year international student majoring in biology, and she is just extremely passionate about mitigating barriers to education. She has had experience with advocacy at her high school, including advocating to school administrators and the Board of Trustees for improving students' learning and living experiences. And I'm just so excited to see what she will accomplish on the committee this year. I will now pass it over to Stella to give her opening statement.
Hello everyone. My name is Stella Du. I'm a first-year bio major student, and I got appointed as the student representative for the Faculty Welfare Committee. Some of my goals for the committee this year would be learning to work with people that are like not at my age, obviously, learning about different perspectives of the issues that I usually don't have the perspective to look at. For example, learning about like the faculty's concerns, what they care about by listening to how all the faculty members think on different issues and how they discuss on different issues. And also one of my goals is to learn about procedures of the committee meetings and how everything works in the academic senate, and I guess be prepared for a higher workload in the future. And also, one of my goals is to obtain growth as a student leader by during these processes of attending meetings, taking notes, and expressing my opinions as a student representative of the committee.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Stella. Members of the council, if you guys have any questions, please go ahead and raise your hand at this time and I will go ahead and call on you. Stella, I have a question to begin with. So hi, my name is Breeze. I know last year I sat on, I guess faculty welfare is a really formative position, especially for incoming students who are interested in getting involved in USAC. And I just wanted to know how you might work to address concerns, right? Because a lot of the times in faculty welfare meetings, it's literally in the name, faculty welfare. And sometimes students' points of view are overlooked. So how will you make sure that while you're working in tandem with faculty, you're also, uplifting the work of, for example, lecturers in the space, such as like AFT that has had to work a lot this past year to try to get their voices and concerns heard because they are not tenured.
Oh, so first of all, I'll make sure to attend every single meeting and be aware of all like the meeting agendas and what's going on so that I can be updated on like all the discussions. And in meetings, I will like when it's needed for me to like express my opinions as a student representative, I will keep it out loud and like if there's any opportunities I can like promote student needs or promote student welfare, or if there's any topics that are discussed that are related to student welfare, I will stand at a student's perspective and give advice or suggestions to the faculty committee.
Awesome. Does anyone else have any other questions? Arman?
Hi, Stella. It's good to see you. I'm just curious to hear what you believe is the biggest issue that faculty are experiencing right now, and what you might be interested in supporting faculty with in that regard.
So, during the last committee meeting, we have talked about like one of the documents that like we were going over was about faculty's misconduct and like checks on faculty's misconduct, and like I've heard faculty members expressing concerns about like the procedures of checking incoming faculty members history of misconduct and stuff like that. And I think for issues like that, I would try to like think in their perspective and agree. I guess I agree with them like for most of the time, because like a lot of time the faculties are worrying about for example if like I don't know if like how much I can talk about in terms of like in terms of the contents of the meeting, but I guess I would try to support the committee by listening to the discussions and participating in their discussions, and I guess when they make like proposals for certain documents, I can like add on some of my opinions as a support, I guess. sorry, I just didn't know how much I can like talk about in terms of the contents.
No worries, Jane. Jane?
Hi, Stella. So nice to see you and meet you, I guess. I was just wondering, what is something that you think like that you can uniquely bring to this committee?
So I have had the experience of working in like student welfare promotion committee before, and I believe I have the experience to stand up for certain student groups, stand up for student groups and different student groups, and like promote for people's ideas who are like overlooked or ignored. And in this committee, I guess I can provide my perspective, first of all, as a student, and also as a minority student. And I guess I can like add some more diversity to the committee by being in this.
Any other questions? If not, Stella, you are free to give your closing statement.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying here to like watch my opening and closing statements, and thank you for all the people who had questions for me. I will try my best to work as the student representative in the committee. I will do my job by attending every single meeting, writing meeting reports, and providing my opinions as the student representative. And I will also try my best to promote students' welfare, including minority students, transfer students' welfare, whenever I can, and highlight student needs even in the faculty welfare committee, like whenever issues related to students' needs are brought up, I will try my best to advocate for students. And also to as my basic job in the committee, whenever there's discussion, I will try my best to have my voice be listened, and to just be an active participant in the committee. Thank you.
Awesome. ARC?
Yeah, from ARC voted on 023 to 0 no recommendation. We definitely loved interviewing you, Stella, and the reason we gave no recommendation is to give her an opportunity to expand her vision of the position. However, after this council interview, I do feel more comfortable moving forward with this appointment, as she can offer, a variety of perspectives as an international student and also as a first-year student. She also expressed like a really concrete understanding of this role, and also acknowledged like different community welfare when it comes to advocating in this committee. So I ultimately feel more comfortable moving forward. And then I don't know if anyone from ARC wants to add on.
Does anyone want to add on from ARC?
Yeah, I can add on also like as like the discussion part, but yeah, I do feel comfortable moving forward with Stella as well. I also think that her ability to really talk about how her experience so far has been on the committee and having those relationships with faculty really demonstrates that she'll be able to continue serving in this capacity and being able to like be really present with all of the processes of this committee and bring those things back to Senate and to Council as well. So yeah, I feel comfortable moving forwards.
Sarah?
Yeah, just echoing both Herman and Cass. I was able to be present at this interview, and I think this is a really great opportunity for both Stella's learning experience and for her, like being a first year, being able to pass on that institutional knowledge to future committee members. And it sounds like from this interview that we got more information about how she would be able to strike a balance between like faculty and like student priorities and make sure that everyone's voices are heard. So yeah, I appreciate Stella being here today and having the opportunity to interview her today.
Yay. Any other council members? If not, can I go straight into a motion, please?
I move to appoint Stella Dew to the Academic Senate Faculty Welfare Committee.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Who was that? Sorry.
Sarah.
Herman motion, Sarah seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Then let me check. Natalia, sorry. Great. By a vote of 13-0, the motion passes and Stella is appointed to faculty welfare. Congratulations, Stella. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. And it's really exciting to see you taking on this role as a first year. Congrats.
Thank you so much.
Yay. Awesome. Moving straight into our next appointment of the night, Kayla. Yay, Kayla.
Okay. So Kayla is amazing. So honored to introduce her as my appointment to the Committee on Continuing and Community Education. Kayla is a fourth year, second year transfer who served within the Academic Senate on the Legislative Assembly last year. She also served as a student representative on 7 different governance committees at her community college with faculty and staff present. And just having worked with Kayla last year and just knowing her extensive community knowledge and experience with advocacy, it's just so apparent how much she cares for students and for different campus communities. And I know that she's going to be such an incredible advocate for these communities this year on Senate. So I will now pass it over to Kayla to give her opening statement.
That was so sweet. I was not expecting that. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Angie. Nice to see everyone. Hi, everyone. As Angie mentioned, my name is Kayla, pronounced she, her, hers. I am a fourth year, second year transfer. And I did serve on LGA last year, which was a great experience. And again, as Angie mentioned, I was also involved with a lot of shared governance for the 2 years that I was enrolled at my CC. And I guess this time around for this academic year, my goal as like an academic senator would be to have a lot more like cohesiveness in terms of like what goes on our campus and what goes on over at like UCLA Extension or any other academic programs that we have. There's a lot of great support services and initiatives that happen like on our campus, and for the sake of like continuity and like, you know, UCLA, I feel like it's important that those same like robust services and initiatives are available for non-matriculated students as well. And I just would love to be kind of like the liaison, right, between like the Committee on Continuing and Community Education and whatever happens on Academic Senate, because I know from my experience last year in Academic Senate, there's a lot of really important like information that we're gonna get passed along between committees. And if there's anything that might be able to benefit like the committee or like vice versa, if I hear something from that committee, I would just like to keep that like flow of information going, which I know can be hard sometimes. Like sometimes you have to miss a meeting, but yeah, that's really just my main goal for this year. Just a lot of cohesiveness between all the different communities we're kind of like servicing. So yeah, that is it for me for my opening statement.
Love you. Can I get any questions from council members? If there are any. Taylani, and then Haley.
Oh, sorry. Hi, Kayla. I just wanted to ask, like, what are you most excited for in regards to this role, and what do you think you can bring to the committee?
Yeah, so funny. Actually, this committee was my like first preferred last year. So I was like, oh my gosh, there's still like an appointment available. How sick. But anyways, back at my CC, through our like shared governance like processes, I kind of noticed a disconnect between like our auxiliary campus where a lot of our non-matriculated students were at and what we refer to as like our main campus. And I'm just kind of interested to see if that's, also the case here at UCLA and how we might be able to, change that and how might I be able to change that as well, like within this role? So yeah, that's what I'm most excited about.
Haley.
Hi, Kayla.
Just do it on mine.
Okay. So sorry. Okay, so basically my question to you is, how do you think your experiences in LGA and Academic Senate in general last year are going to influence how you go about serving as a senator on this new committee?
Yeah, so I think my experience on LGA, it was a great experience, but I also really got to see firsthand how hard it is to kind of like insert yourself in like certain conversations. No matter like how much you read up on like the entire like 100-page like meeting packet beforehand, sometimes they won't even let you speak at these meetings. And so I was kind of taken aback by that like the first time around because coming from my CC, they like force like the students to speak. They're like, okay, what do you think about this? I'm like, oh my gosh. So I don't know, I was expecting to be like a lot more, I don't know, involved like in these meetings. But I guess this time around, I think I'm just gonna go from that tactic of just like retaining like all this information, letting all the rest of you in Academic Senate kind of know what's going on. And if hopefully I am given the opportunity to speak at these meetings. I know they meet like twice per quarter, so hopefully at least once I can share any thoughts or like any initiatives that we're working on our end too. So I think having that experience and having that experience at both my CC, like, and actually advocating, but then also having the experience of kind of getting shot down sometimes through LGA, will kind of make me go into this kind of more like level-headed and a good realistic understanding of how these meetings are run.
Awesome. Is there any other questions for Kayla? If not, can I hear from Art? Or no, your closing statement.
Yeah, so for my closing statement, I just want to say thank you. Thank you, everyone, for all of your questions, really great questions, and for the opportunity to interview again for Academic Senate. I'm really excited to be returning. And again, I hope we can do a lot more like within like as a collective like Academic Senate like unit and also like individually within our committees as well. So I'm excited for the work that we're all going to be doing this year. So yeah, thank you.
Yay. Art?
Okay, sorry, my Zoom is bugging right now. It says my internet is unstable. But from ARC 3 to 0 to 0, positive recommendation. We're so happy to extend. Oh my gosh, am I frozen?
No, you're good, Cass.
Yeah, so we can
Oh,
hear you.
really? Okay, everyone is frozen to me, but I'll just keep talking. But 3 to 0, positive recommendation. We're happy to extend a positive recommendation to Kayla as she had experience last year in Academic Senate and LGA. We also admire her passion for student advocacy and the recognition of different community backgrounds and their needs when it comes to this committee. And also, we really liked her plans for transparency as well as just being a great activist at UCLA and also in her past experience. So we definitely think she'll do an amazing job this school year.
Awesome. Any other council members?
Hi, I have words. I just want to say that Kayla is one of the most genuine people that I have ever met in my entire life, and I think that like came across in this interview, and it's come across in like every space that I have seen Kayla in, and having worked with her on the Academic Senate last year and in the TSR office last year, I've really been able to see firsthand really just how much of herself that she gives to the service that she provides for students, and the way that she places herself in these settings of working with faculty members and staff members. And I like truly cannot think of anyone who is better put in a role to advocate for students in this committee and in this setting. I like absolutely adore Kayla, and I think that she's going to do so amazing in this role. She has so much passion and vibrancy about the work that she does. And I think that she's going to be continuing to do that every step of the way. So yeah, super happy to like be like Kayla's cheerleader, and to have everyone else be supporting her as well. But yeah, super excited for you, Kayla.
Sarah?
Yeah, I'm also here as part of the Kayla fan club to offer words of support. Kayla is one of the student advocates that I look up to in so many ways. She was on my team in IVP last year and has just been such a phenomenal student advocate. She not only has a robust understanding of all the workings of UCLA, but also brings a wealth of knowledge from all of her leadership experience at her CC. And I just knew from like personal experience working with her prior that she would be an excellent fit for this role, and she really brought her all to the ARC interview as well. So like I just have full faith in her ability to do well in this role, and I'm really excited for all of the huge things she has planned for this committee this year. So great job, Kayla.
Awesome. I mean, Kayla, you already know how I feel about you. I love you, adore you. You're amazing. Kayla was on my campaign team, but I knew her since I was AAC as well. So it's just been such a pleasure getting to know her. And we're from the same area. So like, love our community out here, the 626. Awesome. Great. Okay, so can I get a motion, please?
I move to appoint Kayla Regalado to the Continuing and Community Education Committee.
Can I get a second?
A second.
Sarah motions, Armand seconds. All in favor, please raise your hand. Great, and by a vote of 13-0 to 0, the motion passes and Kayla is appointed to LGC. Congratulations, Kayla. Thank you so much. Awesome. Great. Moving into our next appointment, CS Mini, we have Hannah. So Momina, you have the floor.
Hey everyone, so I'm excited to introduce Hannah as a prospective appointment as one of the CSC reps for the Community Service Mini Fund. So Hannah works in CSC on the Finance Committee, where she connects service orgs to different finance resources and facilitates that process of finding funding for service for different orgs. And she's also director in FSC, where she works to increase access to financial literacy resources for students. And I will pass it to Hannah to give her opening statement.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. So my name is Hannah Daggy. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm here today to personally and formally address my interest in joining the CS Mini Fund Committee. So my initial sentiment would be to address the significance of representing a funding body such as the CS Mini Fund with an admirable rostrum of service projects, its commitment sustained in making a difference in the community, and successful resistance to the notion that everything in society is as it should be. Its impact has shown that the work which goes into maintaining and providing the means for these projects takes second place to nothing, and that service is a first order profession. So I could delve into an inspiring explanation of this role, but I would like to speak candidly about what it would mean for me to be on the committee and why I'm here today. So while I'm honored to participate in the rights of an institution such as UCLA, the university's profligacy has left demands to provide service to underrepresented groups unfulfilled. And thankfully, the student body has refused to accept this lack of support as a matter of course, and has prioritized utility and social justice as the target of their labors. The aims of the CS Mini Fund fundamentally represent this goal, and I'm here as a hopeful participant in those efforts towards reaching it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the intro, Hannah. Great. Council members, if you have any questions, please raise your hand and I will go ahead and call on you. Angie.
Hi, Hannah. Thank you for being here. My question is, what are some ideas or goals that you're hoping to carry out this year?
Yeah, thank you for your question. So the biggest thing that I probably would bring up would be increasing the accessibility of the CS Mini Fund. Obviously, the more orgs that know about it, the more effective it is. So definitely that would be like the main thing I would bring up. Just making sure that we really make sure that as many orgs can know about the CS Mini Fund do.
Momina.
Hi, Hannah. So what do you think, like in your experience through, working with service orgs and funding through UCLA, is one of the main challenges that students who apply to funding bodies like CS Mini face? And then like in terms of securing funding for service, and then how do you plan to, work with the committee to address said problems?
Yeah, thank you, Momina. So again, back to the topic of accessibility, I think one of the biggest challenges is simply not being able to access the application or not knowing about it. So yeah, increasing the accessibility of that and the promotion of it as well.
Any other questions? Going once, going twice. Seeing as there are no other questions, Hannah, you are free to give your closing statement.
Thank you. So first, I just wanted to say I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here today. And my promise is that I'm dedicated to service and knowledgeable about what that entails. And I will be an engaging, team-oriented member. And I want to make reference to how I hope to add value to the committee. So I believe that one of the main factors increasing the success of the CS Mini Fund is an expansion of its accessibility. Increasing the accessibility permits an equitable distribution of projects that can be funded and improves the scope of its impact. And lastly, I just wanted to thank you all for your time and consideration.
Thank you so much, Hannah. Arc?
Yeah. Hi, Hannah. From ARC 3200, positive recommendation. We're happy to give Hannah a positive rec, as she has immense amount of experience in FSC for 3 years and also was a part of the CSC Transpo Mini Fund. So she has a great understanding about finances and also, funding applications for student orgs. And we also admired her vision to make sure that these funds are given to new student organizations and also being allocated appropriately.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Council members, would anyone like to speak?
I would just second everything. Hannah's been such a great member of CSC, especially within finance. It's a lot of labor, specifically since we serve so many student orgs under CSC, and then there's so many service orgs in general. So really proud of everything she's done so far and excited to see what she does in the future.
Thank you so much, Lamina. Great. Can I get a motion, please? Oh, sorry, Emily, you have the floor.
Oh, sorry, forgot to raise my hand. I was just gonna echo what was been said. Hannah's really great hard worker, really great knowledge of how to help students financially at UCLA. She's been in FSC as long as I have, and I think she'd do a great job.
Okay, exciting. Great. Can I get a motion, please?
I move to appoint Hannah to the CS Mini Fund.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Maya motions, Jane seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. And by a vote of, wait, someone's hand dropped.
I think I have to abstain since she's in my office. So I forgot.
Oh, she's in both your guys' office? Okay. 11. So all abstaining, please raise your hand. Okay, great. By a vote of 11 to 0 to 2, the motion passes and Hannah is appointed to CS Mini. Congratulations, Hannah. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. Great. Okay, virtual class. Moving into our next appointment, CS Mini once more. Momina, you have the floor again.
Hi again, everyone. So I'm excited to introduce Mary as a prospective appointment to CS Mini. So Mary is a director in the Bruin Animal Rescue Coalition, which is a CSC org, and it works with LA animal shelters to educate and advocate for animal welfare. And she's been in that org for the past 3 years. And then I will pass it to Mary to give her opening statement.
Thank you for the introduction. Hi, my name is Mary. I'm a third-year psychology major, and during the last quarter, I've loved being in charge of finance for Bruin Animal Rescue Coalition, and as the finance director, I've had firsthand experience applying to the CS Mini Fund and have seen kind of the struggles that people may go through. I really feel like a lot of students, especially like transfer students, minority students, and also just freshmen who are like new to the game, may not be very clear on different funding that they can do and how to best get the funding that they need for their org. And understanding these troubles, I would love to be the one to help. And that is my goal as being part of the CS Mini Fund Committee, is to definitely make the funding very, very clear on what you can get and how best to support your needs in your club.
Thank you so much, Mary. Do any council members have any questions? Maya?
Yeah, I can go. Hi, Mary. Thanks for interviewing with us. I guess you like kind of touched on this in your opening statement, but what are like some of your goals for this position? Like what, like, I guess maybe like what are a couple of things that you really hope to accomplish?
Something I really would love to do is open up the application to make it a little bit more clear. I definitely feel like when I was applying, it was a little bit confusing what exactly it covered, and there was a whole document about what we needed to do and how you can get funding taken away. And I think that my goal would definitely be to make that super clear so that everyone can get the funding that they really need.
Awesome. Momina?
Hi, Mary, again. So my only question, I feel like you covered a lot of what I asked earlier about like challenges that service orgs face. So what's something you're looking forward to in this role?
I definitely am looking forward to being someone who can give others direction. I know that coming out of COVID, a lot of things are changing, and a lot of things are, people didn't have like the mentorship directly passed down from like last year because of the interruption of COVID. And I'd love to be someone who can offer that direction, mentorship to clubs looking for funding.
Great. Does anyone else have any questions? If not, Mary, you are free to give your closing statement.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be considered for this position, and I would love to have the opportunity to help offer mentorship, direction, and increase accessibility for orgs who are looking forward to their funding for their clubs to help the greater community.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mary. Great. Can I hear from ARC, please?
Yeah, from ARC 320 positive recommendation, we're excited to give Mary a positive rec because we were super impressed by her interview as she was very confident about her vision and also the understanding of this position. Something that we admired is that she wants to make herself available to folks to ask her questions, so open line communication, and also her plans to promote transparency and reaching out to a bunch of orgs, as sometimes funding can be a confusing process.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cass. Does anyone else have anything else to add? If not, can I get a motion, please?
I move to appoint Mary to the CS Mini Fund.
Can I get a second?
A second.
Moment of motions, take seconds. All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, great. By a vote of 13 to 0 to 0, the motion passes and Mary is appointed to CS Mini. Congratulations, Mary. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. Virtual class. Yay. Great. And finally, we have transportation. I believe that one is just a consent item. So Jane?
Yes, I am appointing Maya Desai to the Transportation Services Advisory. She is very cool, very dedicated to transportation. Yeah, I think it's a consent item, so.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Jane. That concludes our appointments for tonight. Yay, thank you everyone for being very productive and helping us get through. Oh, wait. Jessica?
Yeah, sorry. Just really quick, for your consent appointment, you still need to ask if there's any opposition to formally appoint them.
Okay, is there any opposition? Going once, going twice. If not, great. Okay, we are good to go then. Okay, great. We're gonna be moving straight into officer reports. Starting off with my office. So this week, I'll just be talking about a couple of meetings that I attended. In the Response and Recovery Task Force, we discussed what Thanksgiving break is going to look like for students, and how testing services will be available throughout campus. However, ASH will not be open over the break. So just so students are aware of that. In the MO Coalition meeting, again, we discussed how we can continue to advocate to the Vice Chancellor to ensure projects are best supported, aside from not only the funds that, we will probably be discussing about next week, but also to kind of just address any concerns that are ongoing with the lack of support, and again, the hiring processes that are very much behind. So I've just been continually emailing the Vice Chancellor to see that those needs are being heard, and we'll bring that up again in my meeting with him this coming Friday. In the PCAC meeting, which is the Police Council Advisory, the Police Committee Advisory Council, one of those. We talked about Drake's presidential safety plan, and that there were already practices on a lot of the recommendations, like the background checks for officers were already in place. We talked about CAP's alternative mental health crisis response, and the role of police is unclear, but UCPD and folks in PCAC were concerned about police not being present in the event that folks were non-compliant. And they were also focusing on uniforms and making it seem like it was okay / not traumatic for cops to be in the room if they were dressed differently. And they were also still worried about the fact that they wouldn't be able to have access to guns if that were the case. people in the meeting generally were like saying about the importance of having policing on campus, and a discussion even came up about mobilizing UCPD off campus in Mar Vista area to police unhoused people by university owned buildings. So it was a really concerning meeting. And, you know, moving forward, obviously, no, UCPD is kind of a bit not as active this year, but I will be starting to meet with Cops Off Campus Coalition, as well as partnering with ASU, as I have been speaking with Simone about all of these concerns that have been ongoing in these meetings. And, you know, obviously we're seeing policing rise again as a lot of students have moved back to Westwood. In the UCOP meeting, which was a meeting with President Drake, we discussed COVID concerns, student housing, labor shortages, and degree completion, and how students fell behind during the pandemic. Some items that we kind of figured as a collective between all of the presidents was that we plan to follow up with President Drake and staff about the specific cost of housing on campus and its feasibility, following up with housing leaders regarding specific issues, but also to discuss the incoming new funding and want to know more about UCOP's plan to address labor issues, because overall, not a lot of information was given. And, you know, the meetings that we had following that one where we had, which was President Drake, it was apparent that, you know, it was more so people working within his office that had a better idea of what was ongoing in the meeting. And finally, sorry, hold up one more thing. I had to do this one on my notes. For my meeting with the Wellbeing Task Force, we discussed addressing disparities between data sets of identities and allocating funding, discussed the therapy assistance online potentially disbanding it, and the main takeaway is a continuum care part. Basically, students are continuing their care at CAPS, are not continuing their care at CAPS, and kind of how these issues can be addressed moving forward. So yeah, that is all from my meetings this week. I will pass it on to Cass.
Thank you, Breeze. From the IVP office, my main material needs platform directors, we just launched our UCLA Spark 2 campaign to crowdfund for the Housing Relief Initiative yesterday. And so we have a goal of 5K. So right now I just looked at it and we raised $400 so far. So please share that. I put the link in the chat and also it's on our social media. And then my institutionalized events committee is hosting a de-stressing midterm night this Friday in the Bruin Viewpoint Conference Room. On top of that, we're starting to meet with our sole advisor to have a professional event with professional workers and grad scholars in the future. And then moving on to mobilize the masses, we're continuing to work on bi-weekly social justice spotlights on Instagram. We're finally getting responses back from student organizations. And then we began reaching out to student of color health organizations to plan a webinar or an event about the booster vaccine, because even though things may feel normal, we're still in a pandemic and we hope to educate people about the booster vaccine. And then I think I'll be reaching out to you, Tay, about that as well. And then moving on to empower resilient communities, we've been receiving responses from student orgs so we can highlight them on our IG, so yay. And then we had our last meeting with CARE to figure out logistics for the CARE X IVP open development / workshop regarding SPSH, as that's a topic that a couple of orgs already reached out to us about. And then my outreach team is still promoting the leadership lobby. I think your office email probably got an email from our outreach directors, so please join the Slack if you can. And then strengthen student well-being, and we met with student legal services again to follow up on a student worker know your rights training, and we went over a lot of topics such as filing a wage claim, getting paid overtime, and requesting a copy of like any contracts, the benefit of filing a claim, red flags in a workspace, and rights under COVID, because we still have a lot of like rights, even though things kind of seem normal. So we're finalizing a date with the lawyer from Student Legal Services to plan this training sometime this quarter. And then moving on to like more IVP things. I recently collaborated with Angie, the AAC, on the resolution on ADHD awareness. So thank you, Angie, for collaborating on that. And then I'm still in communication with Samahang Filipino to support the Filipinx American History Month initiatives. And also we're working on an infographic with each other. And then that's all from me. So I'll pass it off to Sarah.
Thank you, Cass. Super amazing work you're doing there. Love to see it. From me, for our internal advocacy teams, we funded the 2 orgs via BAG, our civic engagement team. We have a couple members who are super into podcasting, and we're trying to come up with ways to like get news out in digestible little like forms on social media out. So that's like a fun project that they're working on going forward. They're working on a registration guide as well, working with some Latinx orgs for a all Hill registration event with Karen Hedges. And our university relations teams are reaching out to different UR equivalents at the different UCs for our upcoming Regents Q&A with the student regent Alexis and some other regents who will be in attendance. As for our external advocacy teams, Federal Relations is hosting lobby meetings throughout November on things like SNAP, EATS, and other nutritional aid bills. Immigration bill is still on hold due to immigration reform being passed through budget reconciliation. So the other thing that we're working on in the meantime is just continuing on that double the Pell work with UCSA. State relations, also doing lobbying meetings with assembly members this month, working on UCSA budget, and also working with the UCCRJ at UCLA on rape kit legislation. And then as for local relations, we're working on the Westwood specific plan, and we're also meeting with Sarah Dundish, who is Director of Housing, tomorrow about the housing proposal for SB 169, which is like a budget trailer bill that was passed last year to create the higher education student housing grant program and capacity extension. So we're just trying to see like where they're going to allocate all the funds that they got for this and how we can like integrate that into different community partners such as Bruin Shelter, safe parking, etc. And then as for our operations team, we are trying to do some tabling events for the different UCSA campaigns just to get people's thoughts on like what they care about in terms of basic needs or menstrual equity, why it's important for them to like double the Pell. So it's just like super great opportunity to engage with people and get testimonials. And then we're also working on this fun little backburn project for like internship and career resources for students who are trying to go into politics and government. Like we've been having super great meetings with all of our representatives, and we'd love to just like open up that access to students who might want to intern at like Justice Corps or Law Fellows or at someone's office. So if anyone's office is like interested in collaborating on this, I think it's super cool because a lot of people in USAC have similar career aspirations. But yeah, that is it from EPP. I'll pass over to Angie. Amazing. Thank you so much, Sarah, for the amazing work you're doing. As for my office, I attended a learning management systems meeting last week. And during that meeting, we talked about the transition to Canvas and how that's been going, as well as feedback that students and professors have been giving, and ways that we can make the site and the software more accessible. I also attended a CRC meeting last Thursday and spoke about some of the ongoing concerns that DSU has been having regarding in-person learning for winter and spring quarters. And we've been discussing ways that the MOs can support DSU with a potential statement of solidarity. I also helped to facilitate the first Student Advocate Board training along with our Student Advocate Board Director and with Dean Rush on Friday. And like Cass mentioned, we have been working on a USAC resolution for ADHD Awareness Month, and I've been speaking with All Brains and with the IVP office about our social media campaign that we will be launching for this month as well. And then my office is also working with a few students from DSU to implement an ASL major and minor at UCLA. So that's been super cool. And then lastly, we have been working with SLAP, the Student Labor Advocacy Project, and with Res Life to support UCLA dining and housing workers. And we're hoping to potentially put on a town hall for that as well. But yeah.
Yay, awesome. I don't see any other verbal reports. So admin reps, Jessica.
Hey everyone, just one quick update. I wanted to formally welcome Sydney to council as your minutes taker for the year. She's completed her training with Maddie. So just wanted to give you all an update that she'll be taking over for the year with minutes. So you'll be seeing some emails from her and be in communication with her if you have any questions about the minutes. So I want to just give her a chance to say hi, not to put you on the spot, but if you want to say hi, feel free to introduce yourself, Sydney.
Hi, yeah, so my name is Sydney. I'm super excited to be your minutes taker. You guys do a lot of really important stuff. It's very inspiring.
Awesome, thanks. And then I also just wanted to let you know that we have a fully staffed team now. So we have a couple new students in SGS, and we have a new TGIF position. So definitely if you need any support from our team, we have a number of folks that can support you. I'll drop our SGS email in the chat. That's a great email to direct any like office concerns. If you have any like office cleaning needs, you can just send a request directly to SGS and we'll help take care of it for you. And then yeah, if you have any questions about TGIF, we also have a student who's working with us on managing that fund as well. So just excited to have a full team together, and just wanted you all to know that if you drop by our office on A-level, you may see some new folks working with us. But yeah, that's the only update I have. Thanks.
Yay, exciting. Great. George? I don't think George is with us. So Josh.
Hey team, happy midterms week. I want to remind you, please take care of yourself. It is a very stressful time for all of you, so please make sure that you're making time for you, studying, and not burning the candle at both ends. Also, just a friendly reminder, we are 5 weeks in. Can you believe it? 5 weeks into the fall quarter. So I say that with love. If you have any open appointments, we really need to get those filled as soon as possible. So I'm going to ask everyone, please review. If you have any open appointments, please make sure that you are appointing people. If anyone has resigned from a position that you've appointed, make sure that you contact Cassie to get them onto ARC before they come here for a final vote in. So we really want to make sure that all of the appointments for USAC are filled, really should be filled by the next 2 weeks. So if there are any problems, please reach out to me and Breeze so that we can help manage that. But we do want to make sure that those appointments get filled as soon as possible. Thank you.
Yay, thank you, Josh. Orlando?
Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a good night, and hope the midterms aren't kicking your guys' butts. Josh really took my update. I have been approached by a few people asking about the appointments. They're concerned about certain things, such as judicial board not potentially not making quorum if something did come up. So just to echo what Josh was saying, take a look at the appointments. Just make sure that that we're on top of all this, and then hopefully within the next 2 weeks or so, we can get these filled. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Orlando. Fernando? Thanks, Fernando. Patty?
Hi, everyone. No major updates, just if you are interested and still want to participate in our pumpkin decorating, fill out that form, pick up at A-Level Ackerman, or you can post your photos. We'll have them on display on Friday in Ackerman A-Level. So love to see some of your pumpkins there. Thanks so much.
Yay, thank you, Patty. Great, that concludes admin reports. Moving straight into new business, the ADHD Awareness Month resolution.
Okay, Angie, do you want me to share my screen?
Sure. Thank you, Cass.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Hi all. So Cass and I, like we mentioned in our officer reports, worked on this resolution for ADHD Awareness Month. And basically the month of October has formally been recognized as ADHD Awareness Month, and ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. It's a common neurodevelopmental disorder that can affect attention, self-esteem, relationships, and can also cause a lot of challenges with school and work. But ADHD can go often undetected and undiagnosed. About 75% of people with ADHD are actually unaware that they have ADHD, and this is, thank you, Cass. This can be a problem because adults with undiagnosed ADHD are at greater risk for mental health issues, including mood disorders, anxiety, depression, and these things can greatly affect just daily life, a student's academic performance and retention, and their college experience. And this is particularly concerning, especially since students with ADHD make up about 6% of the college student population and is the most common type of disability supported by college disability offices. But we've seen that there is often a lack of adequate academic support that students with ADHD receive from their institutions, whether it be accessing resources or even being able to get tested and get those ADHD assessments to be formally diagnosed and get those academic accommodations that they need. And so this lack of support affects student retention, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, and college students with ADHD actually experience a higher risk for dropping out and require just greater academic support before college and even the years throughout college. Many UCLA students from All Brains who reviewed this resolution have stated that they have had many challenges with receiving testing from CAPS and services and accommodations through the CAE. And so ADHD Awareness Month really aims to raise awareness of ADHD, of the different challenges that students with ADHD face, and to decrease the stigma and highlight the available support and resources that help students with ADHD feel empowered and to thrive academically. And so with this resolution, we're asking UCLA as an educational institution to officially recognize the month of October as ADHD Awareness Month and recognize the different academic obstacles that many students with ADHD experience. We're also asking that CAE and CAPS provide more accessible testing accommodations and resources, as well as assessments for students. And we're also asking to recognize the importance of orgs like All Brains and DSU who advocate for people with ADHD along with other disabilities. We are also asking that USAC be inclusive of students with ADHD. I know All Brains has trainings that are available, so schedule trainings with All Brains to learn more about how to make your offices more accessible, and how to best support and advocate for these students so that they have access to the education and the support and the college experience that they really deserve. So yeah, that's basically it for the resolution. Thank you all for listening and for your support. Cass, I don't know if you had anything that you wanted to add as well.
I guess just to add on, thank you, Angie, for also putting in so much work for this, and also for All Brains for reviewing the resolution. But I do want to stress that we hope that like council is in support of this resolution, as it is ADHD Awareness Month. And even though like when it's not October, it's important for us to advocate for this community continually and try to take the time to understand their struggles in order to like alleviate institutional barriers for these students. And also, as someone who is a student leader and a student, and also someone who struggles with ADHD myself, I definitely think it's important for us to stand with this community.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Does anyone have anything to add or anything to say?
Yeah, I also just wanted to say that just like second what Cass said, and I also am someone who struggles with ADHD, so it was really nice that Cass and I were able to write this resolution. So yeah, thank you guys.
Oh, I love this for you guys. So cute. Thank you guys so much for bringing this forward. Great. Can I get a motion, please?
I move to pass the resolution calling UCLA to acknowledge ADHD Awareness Month.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Maya motions, Armand seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Great, and by a vote of 13 to 0 to 0, the motion passes, and the resolution for UCLA to acknowledge ADHD Awareness Month passes. Yay! And I see that everything else was striked. So, before I adjourn the meeting, one other thing I wanted to bring up to folks. I know that we are still in COVID times, and we want to be as mindful as possible, but I do want to start to discuss potentially us meeting towards the end of the quarter. I know week 10 can be really hectic, but maybe weeks 8, week 9, wanting to get a feel for the room, just to kind of see if folks would be open to meeting those weeks to kind of get us back into the possibility of maybe meeting in person come this upcoming quarter for the winter quarter. So I just wanted to get folks like thoughts on that. I don't know if anyone has any strong opposition, strong in favors. I also feel like it would make us much closer as a council, because last year we had like the virtual training, but also like we were constantly working together because of everything with COVID. And I really want to see that like we become closer as a council. So I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on it. Yeah, I definitely agree with that, having a hybrid model. period. Okay, so I'll probably touch base with Josh. Can we vote for that now, Josh?
Yeah, I was just actually messaging Jessica, Patty, and Fernando, and maybe if I can do this publicly. Jessica, Patty, Fernando, do we have the room reserved for fall quarter?
Not for fall. I think we started them in winter as a hold, but we can check if it's available if we know that you all want to try to meet toward the end of the quarter.
Okay, awesome. So then
we can vote moving forward. But it would be based upon room availability at this point, hoping that no one took it. And I do want to just keep in mind that all in-person meetings campus-wide are at 75%. So Jessica, if possible, can you also get a maximum room occupancy on that? And then we'd have to remove 25% of that. And that's the total amount of people that we'd be allowed to let into the room. With that said, we will also all need to remain masked during the entire meeting.
Completely understand that.
Great.
Can we maybe possibly, before we talk on this, can we maybe see that there is such a room, and then after have a vote maybe next week once we have details, and I touch base with you, Josh?
Yeah, that sounds good. And Jessica, Fernando, and I will look into room availability tomorrow. We'll look for week 8 and 9 per the request. And if that is available, we'll book it right away.
Perfect. Yes. So, okay, great. Hopefully we can have a vote on that next week and look into having weeks 8 and 9 in person, because I really want to see y'all in person. Awesome. Okay. And with that, I adjourn the meeting at 9:08 p.m. Great.
Recording stopped.
I don't know if folks want to stay for good and well.